Could Adam Miller come back to Illinois for his senior season? That is kind of the rumor that's kind of spread out over social media over the last 48 hours. Which, of all the things that happened this offseason, it might be more surprising than Merez Johnson entering the transfer portal and going to Michigan. Largely, like it might be. It might be the biggest surprise of the entire offseason if Adam Miller actually comes back to Illinois. The whole thing started this past weekend, like I said, thanks to I don't know exactly where, but it all starts with Trilly Donovan, who's a basketball insider on the internet here, and he says that he sent a tweet, I think on Sunday, basically hinting that Adam Miller could go back to a school that he had already played at. He just spent 2 years at Arizona State. He was at LSU before that. And then there's Illinois. Now, before I dive in any deeper, let's just kind of go over the Adam Miller saga, right? Adam Miller started every single game for Illinois back in what was an awesome season after the COVID pandemic that led to absolute pain and still one of the biggest losses I've had to endure as a sports fan to Loyola in the NCAA tournament. I thought Adam Miller was going to be the primary option in year two. He decides to enter the transfer portal. Now, am I on the inside that knows everything? No. But most people believe that he left Illinois because he was influenced by people on the outside, whether that's his family, friends, whatever. I'm not here to say who it was, but that's kind of what the rumor was. And that's why when I talked about Merez Johnson, what feels like a month ago now, but it was probably more like 2 weeks ago, and him going to Michigan and him entering the transfer portal to begin with, I compared it to the Adam Miller situation. And so he enters the transfer portal after that one great season in Illinois where he started every single game, goes to LSU, tears his ACL first season. I don't even think they played a game. I think he did it in practice, to be honest with you. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong on this in the comments. Came back his next year, didn't play as well as he did at Illinois, goes to Arizona State for 2 years. And he probably had his best season since the Illinois season, this past season with Arizona State, where I believe he averaged close to 10 points per game. I'm looking it up right now. He averaged, in 30 games, he averaged 9.8 points per game, 2.3 rebounds, 1.9 assists, one steal, and he shot 42% from the three-point line. Now, we all watched Adam Miller play, and yeah, he has a lot of comparisons to the Merez Johnson situation. Chicago kid, technically from Peoria, but was in Chicago whenever he came to Illinois, right? So he's a local guy, and that's why people were so passionate when he left. And I think that's why Brad Underwood got a lot of criticism, not being able to keep players around, especially local kids. And why the conversation about how Brad just changes his team every year, I think Adam Miller's departure plays a part in that discourse. And I don't necessarily think that's fair, but that's another conversation for another day. So, to bring this all around, Adam Miller's best season in college hoops probably was at Illinois, his freshman season. And I know injuries have derailed him. And I know situations that he's been in hasn't exactly been good for him. And we use the line all the time, the grass isn't always greener when you leave Illinois. That's true for a lot of kids. And Adam Miller has been one of those examples that I've thrown out there many times when players transfer out of Illinois and go somewhere else. It's not that I'm rooting against them. It's more about the fact that I don't know why you'd want to leave Illinois considering where the program is at. And when Adam Miller was going into his sophomore year, Illinois was on the rise. They were just a 1 seed the season before, and he was going to be the primary option for this team. And again, I don't necessarily I don't necessarily think he really wanted to leave Illinois, but outside influences led him to do that. And at the end of the day, he makes decisions for himself. Okay. So now we fast forward, and I'm thinking the Jeff Fisher quote. I think it's a Jeff Fisher quote. Like sometimes you have to go back to move forward, right? Or maybe it's just the fact that I Big Cat from Barstool, you always used that line with uh with Jeff Fisher for whatever reason. I can't remember why. Anyway, the point is uh this is a situation now where Adam Miller has 1 year left of eligibility because of the COVID pandemic season, and he perhaps wants to finish his last year of college eligibility at Illinois. And I think for him, for him, it would be a good way to end his college career because he hasn't been doing any winning since he left Illinois. LSU wasn't any good when he was there. Arizona State has not been good since he was there, despite being one of their best players. Now, for Illinois is in a much different situation now than when Adam Miller was going into his sophomore season, when he could have been here and been the primary option. Last year, college eligibility. How much does he care about the role? Does he want to be a primary option? Now, reading from the Arizona media, he was set up to be the primary option for Arizona State next season. But he still entered the transfer portal. And so that gives me some question. If he comes to Illinois, is he going to be a primary option? If that is in the plans, I don't know if that's a good thing. Now, with Will Riley and Kasparis Giacchionis entering the NBA draft today, obviously they need to bring in some guards. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn commits to UNLV. You got to find a backup rotational guard. Now, for me, I would love to add him because he shot 42% from three last season. He's familiar with Brad Underwood in their offensive scheme. He's familiar with the university. He would probably be comfortable in Champaign, right? And I do think that those types of things do matter. And this is a guy that I said this in my video I put up on the YouTube channel, the short I put up. I said this, that I love a good resurrection story. It's not like Adam Miller has completely Jeremy Richmond his way to this point in life. Jeremy Richmond had a meh year at Illinois and then entered the draft, went in the second round, and then was just flamed out. And let's just be honest about it, was a massive disappointment in terms of talent and the potential that he had when he first came to Illinois, right? I don't think it's like that for Adam Miller. The fact that he's stayed in college and I think he's found a way to still be a serviceable player. I mean, obviously Arizona State wanted him, LSU wanted him, right? Why wouldn't Illinois want him? My concern here is if he comes to Illinois and it's because Brad and that coaching staff tells him that he's going to be one of the top two options on this team, I don't think that is good for wins next year. Now, you have a good roster set up right now. You got Kylan Boswell, you got Ty Rodgers, you have Tomislav Ivasic, you have Zvonimir Ivasic, you have David Mirkovic. Obviously, Dame Sarr is we're still waiting to hear on if he's going to come to Illinois, right? There's, I don't think he's committed yet, but Ian Jackson has been a name out there, right? Former 5-star recruit. I think obviously if he were to commit to Illinois as soon as I end this video or tomorrow or the next day, I think I would need some time to have a true opinion because the roster isn't fully filled out yet. If it's up to me and Adam Miller comes here, to me, he's taken the Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn role, the rotational guard off the bench who can come in and shoot some threes. Does Adam Miller want to do that? I don't think so. I don't know why he would want to. So, if Brad tells him that he can come in and start every game, it kind of just depends on the role. Can he come in and be like Trey White? He'll have the shooting, right? He's a better shooter than Trey White. Is he as athletic as Trey White at this point in his career? I mean, maybe I should watch more tape, but torn ACL, like it seems like he's had some injuries that have derailed him along the way, which is unfortunate for a guy that was really highly touted when he came to Illinois. I don't know, man. It really just depends on how this roster shapes out. I'm open to a reunion because I would love a nice resurgence story. I really would. I really would. But I'm not sure I would like him to be one of your top 3 even scorers on this team. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not giving enough credit. Again, the Arizona media openly said that Adam Miller was in line to be the primary option for the Sun Devils next year, and he's still transferred. So, I don't know. Does he care about winning? Does he care about going back to the NCAA tournament because he hasn't played in the NCAA tournament since he was at Illinois? I think those things do matter. And I also think just coming back home because, again, from Peoria, played AAU in Chicago, all those things, right? So I'm interested in your thoughts on Adam Miller. I wanted to do a little bit of a longer version of this video compared to the short I put up, but a very interesting topic that we can continue to follow as the wild, wild west of the transfer portal continues this offseason in Illinois basketball. Hit that like button for me, subscribe if you're new here, and I appreciate y'all's support, and I'll see you in the next video. ILL.